G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, back at it again with some more entitled parent stories. I upload here daily, and if you don't want to miss out, then you better smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Anyway cobbers, it's time to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and enjoy these entitled parent stories. Religious nutjob entitled parents don't approve of me dating their son. I was attending an anime convention around 2 years ago, and it was the first time I had gathered the courage to cosplay. Doki Doki Literature Club had been out for maybe a month or two and was super popular, so me and my friends decided to go as the main girls, with me of course being dressed up as Monica. The whole thing was amazing. Conventions themselves are always fun, but when you're cosplaying it's a whole new thing. During this time, it was uncommon to have people come up and give all 4 of us compliments, or ask to take pictures with us. It's also important to note that for whatever reason that there's protesters at these conventions, they are your usual overbearing religious nutjob fun police types, but I have no idea what they actually protest. Anyways, one day we're walking around when this guy who looks to be about our age comes up to me and my friends. We were going out for food and he has this conversation with us about our costumes, getting into the game, giving us compliments, etc. He then asks to take some pictures with us, asking for some specific photos. One is where we're all trying to pull at him, and then he wants to take one photo with each of us, with me looking in the background, looking angry or spooky. It makes sense if you've seen or played the game. The final picture is of me holding onto his arm with a big smile while he looks terrified. After the photo, we're exchanging Instagram info, and I casually ask if he's there with anyone, and he got super uncomfortable and said that he was there with his family. As the day goes on, we are messaging each other over our Instagram, and things had started to get pretty flirty. Eventually, he asks me out to dinner at a restaurant near the hotel we're staying at. The date itself was pretty good. He was funny, we watched a lot of the same shows, and could banter back and forth on differences in opinion. A few weeks go by, and we're dating at this point. We're over at his place and things are getting hot and heavy on the sofa. Luckily, nothing too raunchy was going on because his parents walk in with groceries out of nowhere. Apparently, he hadn't told them about me because they're all like, "Oh, who are you?" Although, they didn't seem too upset on what they had walked in on. I'm beyond mortified, but the parents sit down across from us after putting the groceries down and start asking questions. What's my name? How did we meet? Etc. The both of them seem very excited to meet me at first. I introduce myself and tell the story of how we met, and pull up our photo together with me in costume, and show it to them. They get these grim looks on their face like they just found out I'd killed someone, and gave their son this death glare. At this point, they're asking me to leave, and I'm asking if I did something wrong, and apologizing if I did.
It's just, we want someone modest for our son, and we don't see you two being such a good match.
What?
You don't exactly line up with our beliefs is all. Please leave, we need to talk with our son.
I don't understand.
You need me to spell it out? He doesn't need some atheist tramp in his life.
Mom!
Don't raise your voice to your mother. Walk your little friend out and say goodbye.
They argue for another minute or two before my boyfriend walks me out. He gives me a kiss and tells me he's sorry and he'll call me later. When he finally calls back, he explains how his parents help organize those protests at conventions, and how they had some weird views like that. He said he fought with them for over an hour about how he was done with their bullcrap after they demanded he never speak to me again. He ended up moving in with me about a month after that. It was kind of soon, but he didn't really have anywhere to go since his parents had given him an ultimatum, and apparently his entire family is like that. On the bright side, we're still together, so at least the story has a bit of a happy ending. Our next story was posted by user Ali is Dead, titled, "My entitled aunt thinks that I work at a store I worked at 4 years ago and demands a discount." To start off, I apologize for any spelling errors. I'm using my phone to type this out, as most late 20 entitled millennials such as myself do. Okay, first off, my aunt is a real tramp. She uses our family for her gain, and gives zero freaks about anyone but herself and her image. Oh, and her friends. She will only talk to us if we have something that she wants. She lives in one of the most expensive parts of Sacramento, while our immediate family all lives and has lived in the same area nearly my mum and aunt's entire lives. She's very entitled and thinks highly of herself. She and her husband and children are the type of people who are always keeping up with the Joneses. She has to be admired and loved from strangers. She scams money out of whoever she can, especially my grandma, which is how she's able to live such an expensive area and claim back issues and not work. Or she'll work and immediately quit if someone doesn't like her. Smoke weed and hang out all day while her husband gets drunk and acts like a dick. With that out of the way, let me tell you what happened Friday afternoon. I am the semi-black sheep of my family. I'm not mean, I'm not rude, I don't talk crap, nor do I socialize much with my family because I know they don't really like having me around. So no one ever calls me or talks to me in regards of how I am or what I'm doing, which is usually nothing. So I was surprised to get a phone call from my aunt, the entitled expletive. I didn't know the number, didn't know at the time how she got my number, but I was waiting on a call from my doctor, so I answered without a second thought. So, I answer, hoping it's my doctor, but I hear my aunt's voice. She and I have never been close. I don't like her. I don't think I've ever liked her. I burned myself as a child because she wouldn't let me have a bath since she was entertaining her friends and getting high. So I went and made myself a bath and burned most of the skin on my legs, thighs, and butt off. That's how much I hated her. And her daughter would steal my dolls, toys, whatever she could get her hands on, and she never gave them back, nor would anyone believe me when I'd find my stuff destroyed at their house. Anyway, I answered, and I'm extremely confused when I hear the expletive's voice. She tries to sound all sweet and nice. Hey, how you doing? Grandma says you're sick. Yeah, I am. I absolutely hate talking, especially to an expletive on the phone like her. Okay, she says, before she gets to the point as to why she's calling me. The one niece she hasn't, or couldn't steal or con from. Well, you still work at Party Town, right? My grandson needs a costume for Halloween, and I want a discount, or you can sneak one out for me. I kinda just sat there, thinking, is this bitch serious? Did she really just say that? Did she ask me for something I cannot do even if I wanted to? Without asking nicely? With a please? And did she not know what day it was? The store would be packed to hell with parents who couldn't make more time to get a Halloween costume 6 days before Halloween. I say to her, what? Are you high? I don't work there. I worked there 4 years ago for like 2 months. Who said I worked there? And why would you think I'd even give you a discount or steal for you of all people? I was annoyed to hell and back by being told what someone tells me what I'm going to do. And it's a week before Halloween, there's no costumes left. My aunt let out this weird sound and starts saying something like, don't be selfish, your thieving cousin needs a costume for her son. He's only 3 years old. Are you really gonna be a tramp and not get him a costume? After her little rage, all I can do is just laugh. I had taken some pain medication for my knee, so I'm kinda loopy and tired and thinking I'm dreaming, and all I do is laugh. I could hear my sticky-fingered cousin chime in, calling me a selfish tramp and how she's gonna get me fired for stealing. Somehow, they came up with the idea that I steal costumes for my teenage nephews at a job that I don't work at, because my grandma told them I worked there once 4 years ago during Halloween. She and my cousin are still yelling at me on the phone until I stop laughing. My eyes are closed and I'm on the edge of sleep, and I tell them, oh god, I don't work there. I haven't worked there in 4 years. I was working with my mom until 2 years ago, you stupid bitches. God damn, you guys can't stop coming up with scams and schemes long enough to get the facts straight before you call and harass people? You don't even listen to grandma tell you about us when you come down asking for money? Fuck off, you ingrates. That's all I remember before I passed out. I woke up Saturday morning with a stiff leg and missed calls and texts from my grandma and aunt. My grandma was apologizing and said she set my aunt straight. But an hour later, my aunt calls and says,
"You can get grandma to lie for you, but I know you're a selfish tramp like your mum and won't even help our family."
I just listened to her, tired as frick, trying to stretch my leg, and let her go on.
"I'm gonna be in later today for my grandson's costume, and it better be half off or free."
Yeah, I'd love to see that. But even if I could stand to walk or be in public, I don't care enough to watch her humiliate herself or try and belittle seasonal employees. And, the tramp didn't even tell me what costume she was looking for anyway. If I worked there, was I supposed to just grab any toddler costume for her punk butt? I feel bad for the kid, but my aunt is such a fudging tramp and she hurt my grandma too much for me to even consider helping her or my cousins. And our next story was posted by user Agerithe, titled, "Speak English or GTFO." Background: I'm severely hard of hearing, but consider myself deaf. When your hearing is that shot, you might as well be. I also operate a very small, local deaf meetup group in my local area, which includes a hearing person, one of my roommates of course, who just seems to enjoy hanging out with us, and we're fine with that. When with the group, I don't hear my hearing aids as that roommate is usually fine with handling things if and when hearing is needed. He's a trooper. At this particular meetup, which happened this morning at Shoney's for their breakfast, we came across an entitled parent. The story: everyone was seated, casually nomming their favorite breakfast items from the breakfast bar at Shoney's. Everyone was singing and giggling back and forth with one another and enjoying our time together. But we did notice a kid that was nearby bugging my roommate about something. I wouldn't know what's being said until after we arrived home after the meetup, and will include the conversational bits where relevant. Kid:
"Why aren't any of you talking?"
Roommate: "I can talk. They are deaf and can't hear speech, so we use sign language to talk." Kid:
"That's cool."
Kid runs off and roommate didn't think any more of it. It's not uncommon for someone to ask about sign language here or there, or ask us how to say something, or get advice on where they can learn sign language, which is lifeprint.com if you're personally interested. It's free and we typically send folks. Sounds like nothing spectacular so far, I know. But it wasn't until we were ending our little meeting and started saying our goodbyes when the kid's mother approaches our table. Again, the deafies are just thinking, yet another person with a sign language question. The hearie can handle it. Apparently, the kid's mom was so offended that we weren't speaking vocally that she intended to make her stupid opinion known. Entitled mother:
"You need to stop doing the hand signal stuff and speak English. It's very rude."
Roommate: "I'm sorry, what? These guys are deaf, so..." Entitled mother cuts him off.
"I don't care if they're deaf. They can speak English like everyone else in America."
Roommate: "No, they can't. Literally, 2 of these people were born completely deaf. They don't know what English even remotely sounds like."
"It's not their fault that they're invalid. They should still speak English, and you too. Stop messing about with your hands, it's very rude."
It's very rude to insist people with a disability cater to your sensibilities. And honestly, I wish I were deaf myself so I wouldn't have to hear the screeching of a heartless tramp with less than 2 brain cells to rub together.
"You can't speak like that around children."
She ends up huffing and puffing and running off. At this point though, she's gotten the attention of everyone at our meetup. We're all thinking that that was the ending of it, and the roommate signed to us telling us, "Crazy lady thinks we're throwing gang signs and other stupid stuff. Don't worry, everything's fine." Well, turns out entitled mother ended up getting the manager, demanding we be kicked out. So, enter manager stage left. Manager arrives at the table with entitled mother and the poor kid in tow. Entitled mother looking smug, like she's just accomplished something huge. Manager: "I've got a complaint that your entire party has been rude and cussing." The manager notices sign language being used and asks the entitled mother, "Ma'am, do you know what they're saying?" Entitled mother:
"No, not at all. They're not speaking English, which is very rude. We're in America, and in America we speak English."
Roommate swears that this is what she said. And since we do live in the sticks, I wouldn't put it past that someone would say something like this. Manager: "Ma'am, we can't kick people out for not speaking English."
"But they're insulting me and my kid, just look at them."
At this point, it's worth noting that when we are discussing something or someone, if the object of discussion is available, they're pointed at. At no point in our discussion did we point at the entitled mother nor her kid. What we were talking about was various subjects, from cats to the gal that we recently got invited from Walmart, talking about wanting to get a fish tank, and a smaller fighting beta, and other places they'd like to go for the next meetup. So, nothing involving the entitled parent nor her kid. Roommate. Actually, and points to one of us, she's talking about getting a fish tank and getting a beta fish, points to me. He's getting information on where the next meetup might take place, points to the black guy. He's talking about a kitten he recently adopted, and points to the entitled mother. And she's being rude, insisting deaf people need to stop using sign language to accommodate her stupid sensibilities. The manager surprisingly signs to the group, asking if we found everything to our liking. We all practically say yes to some degree. Yes, okay, etc. Different signs. The manager proceeds to inform the entitled mother that she'll need to leave us alone, or he will have to ask her to leave. She apparently continued to complain about how we continued to sign after all of this and was asked to leave. She did, and apparently screamed how she's never coming back. The manager gave us 10% off our bills, except the roommate who dealt with the brunt of it, who got his meal free. Edit, I just want to point out that this is the first and only time I've ever had anyone give our group any kind of hell for being non-verbal, as most people get that we're deaf. Our usual problem is people staring at us because they find sign language to be fascinating, beautiful, or some other somethings. So usually we're trying to ignore people staring at us rather than demanding we speak English. Alright, that's all for today folks. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. If you want to watch an entire playlist, I have a sleepy time playlist up on the screen here. Click on that if you'd like, and if you'd like to watch another video, click on that too. If there's anything else you guys would like to hear, feel free to tell me down in the comments if there's anything you've got me to, if you want to say, sorry. Yeah, and I just hope that you have a good day and a good sleep and a good night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.